So I was on vacation this past weekend, and with that comes one of America's greatest pastimes, watching cable television. Now, streaming services kind of taken over our life. But you ever gone back just to watch regular TV? Quite frankly, it sucks. Streaming services have their own problems, but they ain't nothing ever on cable TV. It's like the same reruns of the same shows and movies. And with that, let's talk about the movies that I saw this weekend on cable television. So we're going to talk about 3 specifically ones and maybe a couple little sidebars here in a minute. But first movie, here we go. Like Mike. Like Mike was a movie featuring Little Bow Wow. I mean, Brenda Song was in there. Dirk Nowitzki. I mean, this list was stacked with like bangers of actors and everything. And was it a little kid from Stuart Little? I don't even remember. But so Like Mike, I remember watching this when I was younger, like a long time ago. This was back when movies, especially children's movies, gave us the false sense of that everything had a happy ending. You know, back when imagination was still somewhat attainable in the young eyes of the youth, you know, before, you know, they were glued to their iPads watching Skibidi Toilet. But so the premise of this movie is there is this kid, Little Bow Wow, who finds these pairs of sneakers that are magical. They get struck by lightning or something, and they were like apparently belong to Michael Jordan. Finds them on the telephone wire or whatever. I'm paraphrasing all these, so I'm not even gonna get too nitty gritty on the details. But he puts his shoes on, is like make me like Mike. He goes to like a basketball game for this team called the Knights. He gets picked to do like the hoop thing with the basketball player, and like the shoes give him power. Like he's just as good as like, you know, MJ, right? That's the premise of the movie. So he becomes like a professional basketball player, you know? I mean, this, like I said, this is a time where movies like this exist, where like kind of kids like ruled, you know? Like, you know, I mean, like, you know, movies like Richie Rich or like, I don't know, Big Fat Liar, or movies where like there is some kind of crazy like idea that just happens. That's, you know, it's honestly like just, that's probably never gonna happen. Like, I'm like Parent Trap or something like that. So yeah, this is that. And so he just goes through these, and there's also a subplot is that he's an orphan. So that's another thing. So he's kind of like almost like a rags to riches, but I think the more important storyline is the fact that he is an orphan. And so that causes him to be in certain situations where, you know, he's getting all this fame and everything, and because he's becoming famous, more people are like, oh, I want to adopt him because he's like becoming famous, right? Maybe they want to make money off of him. And there's a part where his Stuart Little friend is gets jealous of him, which is like, whoa, you can't be happy for your bro, man. Like, come on, you know. And to even make things even like crazier, you know, we have like bullies in the movie who are, you know, this guy from Breaking Bad, who are in cahoots with like the guy who owns or runs the orphanage. This guy, in my opinion, is like probably one of the evilest movie villains ever. I mean, he literally does what he can to make sure Little Bow Wow doesn't get adopted, because like, oh, you're famous now, I gotta keep you here. Almost to the point where he's like, he's stealing from children. You know, he's like mentally abusing them too, to like, hey, do my bidding. And you know, that it's really wild. You know, he's even making bets with like, I guess, mob or whatever, just to try to win money off the kids basketball playing. Like towards the end, he gets his just desserts though to the ends apparently, where they bust his, I'm assuming they bust his kneecaps. But long there's just so much about this movie that I could just like talk about. There's a scene where Little Bow Wow's friend is like, when he wants to try the shoes on, and he's like a Miles Morales moment. It's like anyone can put on the mask, and yeah, that it's just, oh my gosh. But I think one of the weirdest plot of this movie was, so Little Bow was just becoming friends with one of the basketball players, getting real close to him. He's learning about his life. He, you know, all this stuff like that. Like this guy's like, he has troubles with his home life with his own father or whatever, you know. But like he starts to like him in like a fatherly figure, which honestly I don't get the vibe from that. Maybe like a brother or like older brother kind of like homie situation there. But like he wants this guy who is practically single. I think he has a girlfriend for the most part. You know, is just living on his own. Like I don't even know if he washes his own laundry, to like adopt him, and that's kind of weird. Eventually, what's his face from Family Matters tries to adopt him, and then the whole black player is like, you know, maybe I should adopt Little Bow Wow, but then there's a miscommunication, and then anyways, towards the end of it all, Little Bow Wow goes to what's his face from Family Matters, and you know, he's like, maybe you should adopt me, and the guy's like, maybe I should adopt you, and then you know, it's 2 for 1 at the orphanage, because you know Stuart Little's guy over there is all sad about it, and then he's like, yeah. So basically at the end of it all, the guy adopts both Little Bow Wow and this other kid, and now they're like brothers living with his like friend co-worker. It's kind of weird how it ends, in my in my opinion, it's just like, okay. Yeah, like as a kid, I was like, oh my God, it's such a happy ending and blah, 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 blah. Like, you know, would it be so cool if that happened to me, you know? As an adult, it's like, that is kind of weird. But hey, it was old fashioned, you know, kids movie back in the day, you know? They're a different breed back then. I could say that much. There's also a second movie. I've never seen it, but maybe I should watch it. On to movie 2. Movie 2 was Jumanji. Now, I realized the fact that there have been 2 Jumanji movies that's come out since then, featuring The Rock. So there might be an entire generation who doesn't know about the original Robin Williams movie. There might be even a generation who doesn't even know who Robin Williams is. So with that said, original Jumanji. And so for most part, people should know the premise, even if you watch the new one, just that, is that there's a game, and this one's a board game. And it feels weird talking about this because I feel like everyone should know this movie at this point. But there's a board game that these kids find and they start playing it. Turns out it's like kind of like a sort of online situation. If you die in the game, you die in real life. Jumanji's a safari game. It comes to like real life. And it starts doing all these like crazy jungle stuff. And then one of the kids gets trapped in it. The other girl playing just like gets scared, freaks out, runs away. They never finish the game. Years later, these new kids come along, find the game, and they start it up again. Robin Williams has been trapped inside this board game for years. He's like a grown man now. You know, he's been wrestling the alley bears or whatever. You know, he's fighting the vicious lions of the streets of London. I don't know. Yeah, basically that. So they gotta go find his old friend, you know, and then they gotta finish the game in order to like put this all to rest. So that's basically the premise of the movie. I mean, it's a fun movie, you know. Robin Williams is a great guy, actor, funny man, you know. It's fun. It's a fun movie. CGI was okay for the time, and then like even the special effects is all great and everything. But my main thing about it is when I was watching it, towards the end of it, the fact that they finished the game, it kind of changes the timeline of what happens. And so I had my head wrapping around this for the longest time when I was thinking about it, because the new Jumanji with, you know, Kevin Hart, Rock, you know, not Gamora, Nebula, Karen Gilligan, Jack Black, Kevin Hart, you know, those people. If I'm correct, it is technically like a sequel, like kind of like a sequel reboot type thing situation. Like I think the lore kind of is within the same thing. So if the rules same apply, is that like, so in the new one, if I remember correctly, when there was like Nick Jonas was trapped in there, and then they save him, he comes back. When he comes back, they all remember everything that happened, right? And Nick Jonas is an adult, he has a family and everything like that. And I believe they all remember each other from when I remember, right? The important thing is the kids remember Nick Jonas, right? Fast forward back, or rewind back, you know, in the old one, when they finish the game, it goes back to the past, and Robin Williams and the girl grow up, you know, they grow up, they get married, and the kids, you know, the little kiddos there, Mary Jane from Spider-Man and the other little boy, they don't remember Robin Williams and the girl. So, like, I wonder how the rules apply. I mean, I know this is maybe overthinking it, but how do the rules apply there? You know, is it different because they played the board game outside and they weren't sucked in, you know? And is it different because, like, in the new movie, they got actually sucked into the game? Like, maybe there's something different there. But that's just, like, one of those things I'm like, if these two connect, it's a weird plot hole, maybe? I don't know. Who really cares, though? I mean, I, for the most part, enjoyed movies, but they should have did a better job of hiding that board game, is all I'm saying. I wouldn't just throw it in the river. I would have, like, I don't know if you can burn it or bury it, maybe. I would have done something rather than just throw it in the river and hope for the best. And where did the TV show come into this? For those who don't remember, there was a cartoon. The timeline of that cartoon does not fit really anywhere with where the movie was at. But hey, that's Jumanji. It ain't no Satora, all I can say that. Next movie I was very excited to talk about. A movie that it's one of those movies that for the longest time, I never fully watched all of it. It was always like, if it was on TV, I would watch it. And then pretty much at that part, I would see all of it. There was one time I did sit down and watch it. That movie is Tom Hanks' Castaway. Castaway, well, for those who don't know, Castaway, Tom Hanks plays this FedEx guy. He's like, I believe on Christmas Eve, he's trying to deliver all the mail, you know. If they made this, honestly, I'm surprised there have not been a Castaway reboot, you know, with an Amazon delivery person, maybe. It could be like, who's the guy who played It? Skarsgård? I think I could see him doing it, maybe. I don't know. Anyways, besides the point. So he is on the plane delivering FedEx or whatever, and the crash lands it. He's the only one who survives. He lands on an island. So the premise of it is he is on the island. He's trying to survive, right? And it's just him the whole movie doing that. Like a good chunk, like 70% of the movie is that. You know, he's on the island for like, what, 3-4 years. He befriends a volleyball that he found in one of Amazon packages, Wilson. I mean, it's a classic movie, right? I mean, there's some great moments in that movie, like when he learns to make fire. Now, as someone who I've had done that before, make fire with like, you know, just like 2 sticks. It is incredibly hard. When you do it, you are screaming, you know. And he in his moments where he's like, he contemplates sewer slide. There are moments where he's like, he's got to like do surgery on his teeth. He's got like a bad tooth. He's going insane on the island. He loses a bunch of weight, grows the hair and beard, and he's like, what do I gotta get out of here. I can't. And so he devises a plan of like making a boat, you know. So there is a moment where he does get off the island eventually. Spoiler alert, right? For those, it's an old movie classic, you know. It's been out for years, but yeah, he does get the island off eventually. Then he has the heart-wrenching moment. This is like literally one of the saddest scenes in any movie, is when he loses Wilson. That is like heartbreaking. I remember when I first saw that, I was like, man, who knew you could be sad over like this man losing a volleyball with a smiley face on it? And Wilson, I'm sorry, that's been parodied many times. But anyway, so he gets found, and this is the part of the movie I want to talk about the most, is because like through all the movie, you see him go through all these hardships, learning how to make fire, catching food, contemplating whether he wants to even be alive anymore, you know, his only friend being a volleyball, right? The hardest part of the entire movie is him coming back to civilization. He comes back to civilization and it's all fine and dandy, right? But then he had like I don't believe it was his wife. I think it was like his fiance or something. Or anyways, there's a woman that he loved and she loved him. They both loved each other dearly. Like they're each other's love of their life, you know? And so he finds out that when he gets back that she has moved on. She found someone else. She's married and has a kid with this guy's dentist or whatever. And so that's kind of hard for him, you know, just to get back into life. And then also they throw him a party and they only have seafood there. The man has been eating seafood for like 3-4 years. They couldn't ask him if he wanted a burger or a pizza, maybe some tiramisu. I don't know. So yeah, she doesn't go visit him. But eventually he's like talking with like his homie and is like, you know, the worst part about it is I was out on the island and like the only thing that kept me going was her, you know, and I felt like I had lost her, you know, I didn't even know if I wanted to live anymore. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm here, I see her, I can visually see her, right, you know, and I can't even have her because he goes visit her, right, and they talk, they kind of catch up. He has like this little pocket watch with her picture on it. He tries to get back to her because it's a family heirloom. She's like, no, it's yours. Like, I can't believe you kept it all these years. Like, yeah, it kept me going, you know. And he's just, like I said, he found out that she's moved on, has a husband, has a kid, all that, right? And you can see the tension there, you know. Eventually she's like, hey, I still have your car, right? You know, here's your car, you should take it, it's your car, right? So takes the car, she kisses him, right? I guess they kiss each other, but it's like kind of like not like, it's like kind of like well deserved, right? But then he pulls away, and then it's like the romantic moment in the movie, or like just a stereotypical romantic moment where like she runs after him, calls his name, he drives back, they're kissing the rain, and it's like, I loved you, you're the love of my life, you know, like I want to be with you, blah blah blah. She gets in the car, they're sitting in the car together, and they have a moment of silence, and it's like they both know that like we can't do this, like you have a new life now, like it would just be wrong for you to leave all that, you know, you moved on, and like maybe I should too. Now selfish me would be like, man, screw that, like you're the love of my life. Yeah, divorce sucks, but like I think about like that scene all the time. If I was in that situation, if I was in the woman's situation, I don't know if I could go back to my old marriage knowing that the love of my life, the person who I was like, man, for years, I knew this person was alive. I tracked where he might or may not be. I did all my research to be like, I think he's still alive. And I believed it. Everyone kept telling me I was crazy. And then I was like almost like forced to move on and everything. I don't know if I can go back to my marriage or my family, right? My daughter in this situation, or kid, you know, I could definitely love and care for, but like, how could I sleep next to this other person knowing that, I don't know, like maybe that's just the romantic in me, but like that is such a hard blow. And like to just, like I said, you were on this island for years. The only thing that kept you going is the hope that you might see the love of your life again. You do, and you can't even be with them. That's like the hardest blow in the entire movie. So, but with that said, the movie ends with Tom Hanks is going out. He kept a package, and then that package kind of kept him going also on that island, you know, because I got to deliver it. It was like the whole SpongeBob, I got to deliver the pizza type situation, right? So delivers the package, nobody's home, and then he's like out in this crossroads, and this woman pulls up and is like, where are you going? He's like, I don't know. He's like, well, you can go this way and go that way, and yeah, that's your options there. She drives away, and he notices that the logo that was on the package is also on the lady's truck. Now here's the interesting thing I found about the lady. And I guess I assume she lived on the property. There was a sign on the property that was like, it looked like something was taken off on the left side. I don't know if there was something there before, and if that is any allusion to some foreshadowing that maybe this person was also with somebody and they lost somebody too. That's like my interpretation of that. And so, and it ends with Tom Hanks looks at the thing on the back of the truck and just kind of like, huh, peculiar. And then that's it. The movie's over, right? So for me, that's how it ends and whatever. My headcanon for me, fan fiction or whatever, is probably follows the lady, talks to her about like, this is what happened to me and this is why I delivered the package. And I like to believe they fall in love. That's like the only way I can sleep at night. But it's a great movie. If you haven't watched it, Castaway is a great movie. A classic, true time classic. And honestly, should it be remade? I don't know. But it would be interesting if it did. Modern take on that. But with that said, that was the movies I watched over the weekend. Spider-Man was also on. It was a Tom Holland one, but no, that was about it. A couple cartoons I watched, Looney Tunes, the whole 9 yards. Phineas and Ferb, it was great. Anyways, that's my TED Talk for the day. Juiced out. I will say this. When I was watching Phineas and Ferb, one thing I will say that just Dr. TheJuiceRiver, that man is a true villain in the sense of like, he has every reason to be the way he is. The way he go, but the thing about it, he could be much worse. The way he executes his stuff is just so like very specific. Like the episode where like, I am stealing everybody's gnomes because my father made me be a gnome. And the thing about it, that is like really tragic. The fact that is happening. The fact that your father made me stay outside for all 24 hours in the dead of night being scared to death as a child. That's literal child abuse. That is absolutely wild. And his way of going about it is like, I'm gonna steal everybody's gnome. Like, man, you could be so much worse. Oh my gosh. His parents were not even there for his own birth. I could go on about that, but oh my gosh. Pray for you, dudes, merch, thoughts, and prayers.